Welcome to this space. Welcome to this masterclass. What we're discussing, you all, is about everything about stress, right? And I'll do this formality real quick, Trisha, and then we'll jump right into it.
Sounds
Since it's
good.
being okay, since it's being recorded, you all, I just want to make sure that everyone feels know that this
Yeah.
is a safe space to share. But we also want to make sure that you keep it confidential as much as possible. The recording will be available via YouTube and also Spotify shortly afterwards. But that also gives you another chance to, which if you don't have to write down everything, there's going to be a lot of good nuggets. I'm dating myself when I say nuggets, but tidbits. Uh,
No, nuggets.
that,
Embrace it, Denard. The nuggets,
yeah,
man.
I got basically scolded when I was
Oh no.
preaching one day, and I was not scolded, but just jumped on.
I
But
know.
I used the word nuggets, and like my siblings were like, "Yeah, man, it's over for you. Put on the
Uh-oh.
depends and call it a day." And I was like, "All
Oh
right."
man.
I was like, "Okay,
What a
there."
tough crowd.
Yeah, it was. But we survived. We survived.
Good, good, good.
Um, and and also thinking about survival, that's kind of one of the things you
Yes,
talk about, right?
for
Survival
sure.
mode to thrival. I saw that's
Yes.
also a word that you shared.
Oh
So
man.
yeah,
I
listen,
did.
I
I just
definitely
I added it. I
you
added it
added
to the
it.
dictionary.
Listen, that's actually what we're even in one of the rooms that I'm in. We're really using language, and because sometimes language falls short. You don't have the
It
words,
does.
right?
100%.
Right. And you talk about this too, and I would love for us to share a little bit about this too. Sometimes you feel stuck, unable to
Yep.
move forward, right? But sometimes just the finding words that resonate with where we are. It may not be a word that someone else understands, but it's something that resonates with where we are can actually start to move us in a place towards
Amen.
from survival to thrival or just out of that stuck place, right? It's an uphill battle all the time. So I'll stop here and just say to each person, we're going to create a quick sense of community. We would love to know where you're logging in from in the chat, just so I can know that the chat is working. My name is Denard. I'm one of the facilitators here. I get an opportunity to host another amazing facilitator. I will briefly introduce her. We'll do a quick icebreaker. I have two questions, and it's just for you to get. I'm very big on making sure you all know more than just a person. Content that know that in their expertise, know who they are as a human being, right? So I
Mhm.
introduce that, and then afterwards, Trisha, feel free to share what's on your
Okay.
heart. And I will say that my questions are really kind of geared from what I kind of what's the word? I trolled you on any type of social media. I listened to your recent um, podcast or live session that you did
Oh
for
man.
yeah, all 42 minutes. So just know I did that just for you.
Oh no.
No,
That
but seriously, it definitely gave me a better sense of how to introduce you. I don't think words will be sufficient, but it shows
no.
that you are in different spaces doing magnificent things. And I really want to do that justice here so people know that they are actually in for a treat. I'm not just saying it. I don't like to hype people up just for the sake of it. So
Too kind.
just
Too kind.
hey, you know it. So just for the sake of time, you all just share in the chat where you're at, where you're logging in at. And actually, let's do this. I want to make sure that we also kind of gauge. I believe in baselines too. Let's do this as well. I'll put it in the chat. I actually just put it online, Facebook and Instagram. But basically, in the chat, say where you're logging in from. But here's what I really would like you to kind of chime in on. Where are you at on your healing journey, right?
Mm.
In terms of how are you managing your stress? You heard me talk about it, right? The options I put online was, and just we're going to start with language of honesty because you can make up words, but as long as the words are honest, they can speak to your heart, right? So, are you feeling A, overwhelmed and you need help? Are you feeling B, I'm hanging on, right? But there's room for improvement. And I'll put these in the chat. And C, listen, I found my stride, Trisha, and I feel like I can support others. I'm actively healing. So you can just put A, B, or C. A is overwhelmed. I need help. I need support. Right. B, I'm hanging in there. but it could be a little better. Just like Tim Allen says, the biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. And then C, I found my stride, and now I'm ready to support others. So let me put that in the chat, and then afterwards, Trisha, feel free to share any things that's coming up with for you as we're about to just check in with everybody.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you, Denard. Um, Today was an interesting day. I'll just share where I am. Is a very It's a space that it is a safe space, and I know Denard kind of already covered that, but I want to emphasize that emotional safety, respect is always key in my rooms, and so I hope that everybody just feels comfortable and able to share as they will. For myself, Denard, let's see, you said A, B, or C.
Mm-hmm.
Today's been an interesting day. I created a suicide prevention inventory, and the beta test got finished today. And so, well, finished to begin. Let me say it that way.
Okay, okay. I like it. I like it.
So it's been a battle, but I'm grateful to be here, and this is my passion, and helping people that learn more about their stress response, know more so why they can't sit still, why it just seems to be always in this anxious state and stressed. I mean, chronic stress is honestly plaguing everywhere. I mean, I don't think anybody across any room in here is not stressed, and I feel confident saying that. So I look forward to hearing from you guys and chatting with Denard, to kind of normalize a lot of this, and let you guys know, like, look, you're not the only ones, and there are other reasons. So I'll leave it at that. But thank you, Denard.
Ooh, that was the eloquence of speech just led me to saying, okay, I want to now just introduce you. If that's okay.
Yeah, go
Uh,
for it.
okay, fair, 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 fair. Just receive it all, and this is part of my investigation that I've done. But you all know Trisha to some extent. If you're meeting her for the first time, you're also probably reintroducing yourself to her because she's one of the group facilitators. But she's known as a stressalist, right? Which is specializing in all things stress and its effect on the body. She's also a holistic coach, a nervous system reset specialist. See, I did my work, Trisha. And Trisha also, like I said earlier, she brings a wealth of knowledge and personal and professional experience in terms of working on the complexities of stress in the body, right? But she's also a passionate dog lover, right? I actually was going to create a question based on that. I was going to make it difficult for you, but I was like, no,
Oh,
I won't do
yes.
that. That's not fair. That's not fair. Because I won't go there. I'll leave it alone. But you also work closely with special forces and in terms of the military. And so I just asked you all to, I know you've heard her voice, but I also would like to welcome her into this space because it's an honor to learn about this big interdisciplinary team that we have, but specifically the individuals and their stories, right? Because we're, believe it or not, and you're going to hear it, we're talking to a living miracle, right? A living miracle. And so let's welcome Trisha with some emojis, some warm words if you want to put it in the chat. However you feel, respond from the heart because I believe the heart reaches the heart. And I'll join here as well. And I want to welcome all that just joined. I see Nally, I see Dana, Angie K. And for those that are new, just know this space is for you. You're welcome home. Don't go anywhere. Stay the course. Sherry, I see Milady, G, Dana, Helen, and I also see Dewey. Welcome back, Dewey. Janabelle, all is well, right? So we see a lot of the returners, Christina, and let me see. I also see Felici. Oh my goodness. Okay, Trisha, you're bringing them out today. Okay, Kathy.
Let's do this. Welcome, everybody.
Yes, welcome, welcome. All right, so catch this.
Yeah.
So I gave the good formalities. I hate doing this when I'm preaching. I really do. I tell them this, tell them that this is my favorite scripture. Let's call it a day. But
Yep.
You allowed me to do it, so I'm going to ask you if it's. I would love to do the icebreakers. Two questions,
Okay.
and trust me, it's not going to pull any teeth.
Oh, what
But
is?
okay. All right. So just to warm things up, this is how the game goes. It's this or that, and you all in as an audience will get a chance to respond in the chat as well and participate. For those that have been in rooms with me, you know I do this as well. It's basically would you rather. So I'm going to give
Okay.
you two options, two choices, and you pick your favorite. Right. So this is a fun one, and the next one actually gears us towards asking questions about your personal and professional experience. So, first one is fun. And so, Trisha, would you rather mountain climbing or
Ooh.
deep sea diving? And here's the caveat. Here's the caveat.
Uh-oh.
Based on which one best symbolizes your approach to overcoming stress and life challenges.
Ooh, okay. Oh, he had to hit me with the end of it, you guys. All right. So I'm going to go mountain climbing to a point. I would say I'm going to break it up like this. Younger Trisha was deep sea diving. Okay. Um, somewhat of a jumper inner at times and had to learn that maybe sorry, my dogs are saying hi, you guys.
Hello.
Had to learn that, just starting to climb the mountain like one step at a time was actually the better, more efficient, healthier route, especially when dealing with stress and the body's response, the mind's response, and all of that. So break it up a little bit. But I want to know what do you guys answer?
Okay. Let's turn it out. Let's turn it out to the audience. And let me put it in the chat for you all. So
Perfect.
our chat prompt would be which one would you rather? But again, the caveat, I just added this as we were talking because I want to make it relevant to what we're discussing is in terms of your approach to managing stress and life challenges, right? There's adversity. And you heard Trisha, no pun intended, but she went mountain climbing to a point, right? And, but I love it, right? There are life circumstances that make us look at life in terms of before and after. There's losses that are significant. There are changes, major life transitions. There's extenuating circumstances. So I think that's a great way of looking at it, and it also makes it palatable, right, Trisha? Because we can try to look at it all and be like, man, I've been overcoming, and then we don't recognize that language really is. You remember you talked about it, that hustle mentality,
Oh
right? That
yeah,
grind mentality.
I do.
Yeah. So
Hustle culture,
go ahead.
man. No, just you guys, I mean, we are inundated every day, almost from the start, to be fueled by stress. For most people, right? They need a little stress, and not all bad stress is unhealthy. However, it kind of starts and it doesn't ever stop. And it doesn't matter who you are. It doesn't matter your age, your title, your color, your any of that. We all have it. We all have to deal with it. It affects all of us. We don't always know that though. And that is something I didn't necessarily know is I kind of thought like, okay, yeah, everybody's stressed, right? Like it's part
Hmm.
it's part of life, right? But yes, and there's ways you can help yourself. There's ways that you can what I call tune into your body, and that way things that are stereotypical such as a heart attack or other things that are not as known, we catch them before they happen, right? And so it's interesting because I love Denard how you talk so eloquently through like it is a learning process. Life is totally a learning process. I had extremely bad stress habits when I was in college and responding not well. Let's have more caffeine and less sleep. That's the answer to stress, right? Oh man. But it wasn't. And I soon found that in my future kind of hashtag 10 years later situation. So I don't want to dive too far into that, but I want to ask a question, and that's, who knows that your stress response can get stuck in the on position? Denard, does that make any sense?
A lot of sense. A lot of
Okay.
sense.
Now, I cannot see the chat, so
No, I
um,
got you. I got you. And I'm going to put it in the chat as well. Um, let me see. Actually, the responses right now in the chat are from the previous one. Mountain climbing and deep diving is actually half and half. No,
oh,
actually, deep
okay.
diving, deep sea diving one, because it helps me step outside of my comfort zone as I would have to basically in new situations. So deep sea diving one. But I'm going to put this prompt in the chat. How many of us, and you all can actually respond, because Trisha, it would probably be easier this way, so you can see it too. If you all want to just heart on the screen, if you are aware that
Yes.
we can get stuck on the on like literally on the on aspect of it, right?
Yep.
And
Yep.
Trisha, I'm gonna warn you. I already, because of you, I wrote Czar already. I was like, listen, what you do and what you discuss and how your story shapes. We literally just did two master classes on how to move from the autopilot to the authentic life, right? And I told Czar, I
Oh,
said we got to do a trifecta. So just know it's
yes,
coming up, and he already agreed.
absolutely.
So I'm just
Let's do
putting it
it
out
for
there.
him. Yeah.
All
No,
right,
I love it. We'll
but go
follow
ahead,
up
go
with
ahead.
it. No, but so yeah, you guys, here's what I liken it to. Your body has one job, and that's to keep you alive. How it does it, it's not so concerned with. Fight, flight, as most of us know, is kind of that primal activation of, hey, you're getting chased by a bear. So let's give you some extra adrenaline, some extra hormones to get your butt to safety so that you can outlast this bear. Next thing you know, we're on Survivor. So, um, however, we were not designed to stay in that state of constant on, because we then get continual hormones that were only meant to get us out of serious danger. And most of that within the context of extreme events such as being chased by a bear. So, but what happens is, if you go into a room, let's just call it 100 times a day, pretty soon your body goes, why are we turning the light on and off every single time? I'll just leave it on, right? I'm spending time, I'm spending energy shutting this ship down every time we go on in and out of the room. So it thinks, okay, yeah, that's going to reserve some energy. And to an extent it does. However, what happens to a light bulb? Can it just stay on and all of it's okay? Definitely not. It is going to get burned, literally. And it's not going to work until you physically remove the light bulb. You got to replace it, and you got to start over. And maybe you say, like, oh, the light does need to come off every once in a while. It's honestly like our system. So we have our our fight flight system, and then we have what I call a rest and digest, which is the calm version. It is very, very vitally important that we go to and get in a safe space where we rest and digest. However, due to hustle culture, I'm going to full circle here, due to a lot of our American culture, not hating on Americans, I'm part of it, we constantly are on the go, constantly moving. And you better bet that if you're not, then I don't know about you guys, but throw up an emoji if you feel behind, if you're not like constantly doing something. I mean, I'm going to put mine up because, yeah, it's like if I have a down moment, I'm behind, or I'm not enough, or I'm insert blank, anything. It's so not true though. And that's kind of the kick. But we buy into it, and that's human. We go with it. And a lot of people say, well, Trisha, I have to hustle. And so for those people, if you're that person, I'm not saying you don't hustle. I am in a hustle what I call period of life. And Darnard and I talked about this before this,
Mm-hmm.
for this room. I have to practice what I preach, you guys. So please believe and know that whatever I share, I am doing it too. And here's what I mean by that. There's certain periods I call in seasons. I like to think we have different seasons of life. And off and on, we go through seasons where we're just riding that wave as far as we can, because there's a transition, or there's a new job, or there's a baby, or there's a business being formed. And I'm more so in that accelerating to different programs being formed. And so this is a time of life that I know and allow myself to have a little bit more working hours than usual. However, I work that out with my family. It's a discussion, and I know and they know if anything goes too far, they know to bring it to my attention and kind of say, hey, how are we doing here? It's feeling a little out of whack. Because I didn't do that when I was younger, and it got me in a lot of trouble. Felt like I had a lot to prove. So I just was like, I don't really need a lot of sleep, and I don't really need a lot of food. And nope, did not get me anywhere that I am proud to be. So luckily, though, I'm not there, and we are all here. And so I love group involvement, because I can't just stay here and talk at you guys. So I'm going to ask you a question. Who feels a little stuck in their current... Well, no. Okay. Rewind. Sorry, guys. Who feels like they're in a hustle season of life? Like I shared that I am right now. And I'm okay with... Here's my thought on that. It has to be time limited. It needs to have an end date, and it needs to have some parameters. Going all night and all day is not an option. Your mental health will eventually crumble. And I'm not saying that threateningly. I've worked with enough people and myself that it will. It's not what the body was made to do. Leaving that light on will lead to the light just, it's out, it's done. And I don't want that for you guys. So what do you do for yourself, though, right? If you are in a hustle-ish state of life, how do you kind of navigate those lines? You guys are welcome to share. Oh, man. Go ahead, Nat. Is it Nally?
It's
Nally?
Nally. It's Nally, like Sally.
Okay, Nally, go for it.
Yeah. Trisha, we've never met before. I've never been in your room, so I'm like totally loving this topic. And I have to say, I've spent this past year getting coached by a somatic coach, which I was like, okay, like,
Ooh, yeah.
I didn't really think that much of it. I'm just like, whatever. I've got complex PTSD. So whatever, I'll throw everything, I'll throw everything at it. If we're a good fit, we're a good fit. But I didn't really think about the somatic aspect. And now, after nearly a year of being coached by her, it's made me redefine everything. It's made me really think about things, of how things affect my body and how do I actually feel. And now everything is more of a check-in with my body. And that is like, I don't know. It's such a novel concept, because everything that you're taught is to like get over it, or just do this, or move on, or keep doing this, or how can you shortcut this and just keep going, like all those are those types of conversations, and not how do you feel. And yet, like, the whole feeling part is like, which I'm learning now. It's like so many like aha moments, and I'm like, I can't believe I'm learning this now. But it's just about more of like how I feel. And so now that reorders how I do my day. I literally am like, oh, I can see I'm going to be more hormonal during this time of the month. I'm not going to pile on 5 tasks. And then, and I'm going to pay attention to like, is 5 tasks too many during the other times? Maybe it's just 3. And that's actually my new optimal. So anyway, so it's just changing the conversation I'm having with myself, like, radically.
I love that. Well, thank you so much for sharing that, Nolly. Nally. Nally?
Yeah,
Oh,
it's Nally. That's all good.
oh, it's going to be a thing. Nally. I'm going to try. I'm going to do
It's
my
all
best.
good. It's all
Awesome.
good.
Well, thank you for sharing that. Somatic work is really starting to become better known, and I'm very grateful for that because you guys, we are all so much more alike than we are different, except the world kind of likes to focus on our differences, but we all need the basics of feeling loved and appreciated and heard and seen, fed, watered, all the above, to thrive, right? And again, no matter where you are, who you are, you can't just keep on that gas pedal. It just doesn't work. I've shared before. Denard, I have a question for you, sir.
Yes, mother.
Oh, no.
I
Do you
do.
believe in the concept of getting over something?
Hmm.
What do you think, you guys? Thumbs up, thumbs down?
Oh, that's a good question. It's a trick question because I
Oh,
would
no.
say, yeah, for me, it's situational. Um, like it's really like how I position the word in my heart, basically.
Okay.
Um, so, like in terms of heartbreak, right? When I say I get over it, I know that I have gone through it, but
Okay.
now experiencing again would lessen the impact. But in totality, for most things, I know, like my experience with grief, it's
Mm-hmm.
not something I can get over because it's changed who I am. It's
Right.
literally so most things I would actually say as I'm getting older and starting to learn to weather through my bones, I think I realized that we naturally we have to get and go through things, but not in the sense of like rush through it. That's what
Yes.
I'm learning.
Yes. Okay. So I love everything about that answer. I recently, we all get not even impatient, but just done, right? Of like, I just want to be over it.
Hmm.
I'm going to will myself over it. So I'm done. I'm over it, right? Except I don't believe in that anymore. And here's what I mean.
Yeah.
I think when we do that and we kind of white knuckle our situation, then that's the surefire way it's going to come back. And I didn't always think this way. Oh, younger days. Anyways, but it's not until we go through it. And I love Denard's reference and for that of not through it in the sense of I'm going to run through this. No, like actually working through it, working on it, working in it, thinking of, having external help even potentially that way. Because here's the thing, life is hard enough and situations are hurtful enough and grief is big enough that why not go through it about 80 billion times? Let's go through it once and not find out we swept some crumbs under the rug that are going to come back out later if we white knuckle it and just declare, yeah, I'm done with that. I'm through with it. I'm over it. That makes sense, you guys? Because here's the thing, your body knows the truth. It 100% knows the difference between going through it and being over it. I can't blame anyone for wanting to be done. Nope, I'm just going to choose to be on the other side of this one, right, Tanar? I'm good. Let's just call it a day. Yes, Angie, go ahead.
You have completely said everything that I've been feeling that I haven't been able to say. My state right now is a constant anxiety, taking Xanax every day type of thing just to feel normal. Right now, it feels like it would be easier for me to just give up and give in to whatever's happening, forget everything, not relive it, not deal with it, and then just start over as a whole new thing. And then pray that nothing of my trauma or my past or anything would come up. Like, I'm just at that point that I just want to draw the line, take the knife, cut the cord, start over again. But I know that that's not a possibility to be able to do that, but also to deal with the stuff that I'm dealing with. And even when it comes to spouse and then trying to find happiness and trying to just deal with life and work and everything else like that becomes so overwhelming to me that I just kind of freeze and don't know where to go or what to do, because I'm so overwhelmed by the physical feelings that I'm having that I don't know how to deal with the mental either, if that even makes any sense.
No, it does. It absolutely does. Thank you, Angie. So freeze is a part of this fight flight state. So they keep adding on to them, you guys. So I just keep it at fight flight. However, it is technically fight, flight, freeze, fawn, and they just added a new one. Denard, can you help me out with that?
Oh, I didn't know they had it. The last one I knew was Spawn.
Okay.
Oh my
Well,
goodness.
for the point of this conversation, we're going to leave it at those four. So Angie, you're perfectly describing to me what I call a very usual state, and very sorry to hear all that you're going through. I know we chatted before. Big fan of yours, believe in you. And also, for one side note, normal doesn't exist, you guys. Usual exists. Usual is a thing. People usually find that times help things, right? Like usually. Normal doesn't. And I think the sooner we all can agree, like everybody's different. Nobody's normal. Anyways, sidebar. Getting back to track. What
And
sounds
Trisha, they got it for you. It's Kathy put it in there. Sorry for interrupting. It's flow. I didn't know that. That's interesting. Thank you
what
for
is it?
sharing that.
What was it?
Flow,
Yes.
flow. Wow.
Flow.
Okay.
Thank you. Thank you guys. Okay. Now I can let my mind can let it go and stop trying to stress me on that one. Okay. Sweet. Thank you guys very much. So Angie perfectly describes that freeze process and what the body does. This is, again, all these stress responses are meant for your survival. They're not meant to be harmful, but the body doesn't always, again, that overuse of that light switch, right? Eventually it kind of gets out of whack. It gets dysregulated. So Angie, your body's in that freeze response. And so here's a thought. When you're in that freeze response and you just literally are kind of it's that classic stuck feeling. I don't know which way to go. Don't know which decision to make first. Don't know how to move forward. Don't know how to stay still, right? You guys get the point. Denard, I'm going to bring in something we talked about the other day. Two things to this. Number one, to break that freeze, I want you to ask yourself this question. What is something that future me will thank current me for? Right? Because when we are zoomed in the moment, and we're frozen, we are in a state of shock, basically. That's the easiest way to describe it. And we get very like tunnel visioned, and we can't seem to, then we think, oh gosh, I can't decide, right? I don't know. Well, then that creates additional panic and anxiety. Then we try to think, oh, nope, here's the anxiety. We're not doing that today. Except that doesn't work. So ask the question, hey, what's something future me will thank current me for? It breaks you out of this moment and forces your brain to think beyond it. Because beyond the moment is the hope. For me, if I can help people get beyond their moment of despair and pain, that's all we need. There's one of my favorite podcasts when I was in college was called The Next Right Thing. And I have latched on to that phrase because really The only thing you guys need to think in that freeze state, and you can write this down somewhere. I love written down notes, reminders. What's my next right thing? I don't have to have 5 minutes figured out. To break that freeze state up, just what's my next right thing? Maybe it's a glass of water. Maybe I get up. Maybe I need a meal. Maybe I need to brush my teeth, whatever it may be. What do you guys think on that? Any opinions? Thoughts, questions? Go ahead, Angie.
It kind of makes me feel like sometimes I just have to make a decision and just learn how to stick with that decision and be happy with the decision I made, no matter what the consequences is. It's kind of just like, all right, this is it. This is what I'm going to do, and then follow through.
Okay. All right. You guys, a lot of times that's the thing. I like that approach because indecision can just feel paralyzing. I mean, it can. And so, you know what? I love it. Force a move. Sometimes we have to. But make it healthy. Let me caveat this. Don't trek the mountain. Okay. Don't go scuba diving to get out of the moment. All right. I love to just stand up. Like if I picture myself feeling stuck, not knowing, when there's too many things, you're overwhelmed, you're just feeling that freeze moment, right? I like to just stand up and see what happens. Because usually I'm at my desk and I just am inundated with things. So stand up, see what happens, maybe walk around a little bit. Walking, you guys, actually processes fight, flight response. It helps to regulate it. Running keeps you in it, but walking helps. And it also is a way for your brain and your body to move through trauma without you necessarily having to relive it. So there's that one. All right. I hope Nally had her hand up.
Hey.
Hey.
Did I get it right?
Yes, you did. You
Yeah.
totally did.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Let's do this. Go ahead.
I wanted to actually address Angie because, like, I totally get that whole cycle that you're in about, like, oh my God, I feel overwhelmed. It's like maybe I just don't even want to do anything. And then, like, the resolve that I heard in your voice, like, I'm just gonna just like stick to it. I'm gonna just make my mind up and stick to it. And I recognize doing all of these things. So I just wanted to offer a different reframe too, that sometimes when we kind of see where we're at, like I'm a fan of like micro moves where it's like it's not a huge thing. And if you told anybody on the street, they would have been like, great, you took your pajamas off. But like for you, maybe taking your pajamas off is like the best micro move that you can do to move yourself forward because you're opening more doors. And so I just, I just want to put a yes and like, yeah, you stick to something. But if you find that you can't stick to that thing, maybe like what's a micro move towards that thing? And that's just as valid too, to move the needle.
I love that. I'm going to adopt some micro moves. What I like to call that is we all need goals, right? However, you need the goal that you kind of like long term. If the goal is I'm going to graduate from college. Okay, great. That's a great goal. However, what's today's goal that's going to work you towards that's achievable today? Maybe I'm going to fill out an application. Or maybe forget that. I'm just going to start one. I'm going to open the thing. I'm going to open the application and start it. That way you build confidence in yourself in working towards that goal. So circling back, though, to stress, and Angie, keep doing what you're doing. However, make sure, here's my hope for you, Angie, Gumby. I want you to be like Gumby. Am I dating myself here? It is what it is. Meaning, work with yourself, stretch. I love what Nally said because sometimes we do make that decision and we're like, ooh, the body's talking to us. Pay attention. One of my phrases, you guys, I'm a words person, so pay attention to the tension. Where is it? Where is it in the body, right? Is it, I've got my shoulders up near my ears and I need to sit back, take a deep breath and let them fall? Is it in my stomach? Is it in my muscles? I have joint pain. I have pain in my body, something like that. Any jaw clenchers in the room? I'm totally in on that one. You guys, true story. I did not know that it was normal or usual. Let me stick to my language here. Usual for people to actually keep their mouth like relaxed, but their teeth not touching. Is this mind blowing for anyone? I thought legitimately that when you weren't talking or whatnot, your teeth were just always touching. Like I thought that was usual. But it's not. It's stress. Denard, I got a funny story. So I went to.
Yeah, by the way, you're blowing minds already. Like I know people are already checking inside their mouths, and I'm pretty sure someone like me, like I'm legit. Like I'm like, how long have I been doing this? Why
Right?
have I judged myself?
It's
Go
true
ahead.
though. It is. It's a
That's
way
deep.
the body clenches in a stress response, you guys. And one of the things that kind of alerts us that we're not turning off, we're not getting into rest and digest, is that tension. If we've got teeth to teeth, you better. Here's my move. I mean, it's very great. It's very attractive. I put my tongue in between my teeth. That's the only way I can do it. So when I'm tuning into my body,
Hmm.
right, when I'm paying attention to the tension, I always, first thing, I'm like, wait, are my teeth touching? They always are. Always. It's just how I'm wired, and I'm still rewiring, which I've been in the process for over 6 years. So it's ongoing. Investing in you is ongoing. We will forever be learning and we will forever have stress. However, our bodies can relearn, and this is my absolute best news to give you guys. Our bodies can relearn how to interpret stress. Yeah, mind blown. Teeth. So try it, right? If you wake up, we always hear the classic, do you have temple, like migraines in your temples? The only way you have temple migraines is if you're clenching your jaws, because that's the direct tibiomandibular joint, the TMJ joint that goes up to your temples. I forgot my thought. Any questions? Let me jump to you guys for a bit.
Oh no, what happened to my story? Like I'm so sad.
Which one? Wait, I was in
Yeah,
the story, right?
yeah. You said you had a story that you wanted to share in
Oh.
terms of.
You're
Yeah,
right.
I want
Thank
the
you. There
story.
it is. That's what I was missing. It's been a day, you guys, but I'm here for it. So, okay. About 2 years ago, I could not, I'd never needed glasses long term. And I went and I just couldn't stop having these terrible migraines at various parts of my head. It's something I've always struggled with. And yes, it's a large stress response. However, so I go to the doctor and she's like, well, when's the last time we had your eyes checked? Blah, blah, blah. I'm like, well, it's probably been a minute. So went to get my eyes checked, and I had probably a 24-year-old ophthalmologist. I felt very old. And she looks in my eyes and she just kind of sits back and makes a face. And I'm like, in that puffer machine. Oh, that's brutal. And so she looks again and I'm like, what's wrong? And I'm freaked out. She goes, I don't understand what I'm seeing. And I was like, okay, well, kind of on pins and needles here, doc. And she says, it's like your eyes are stuck in stress.
Mm, yeah.
I
Yeah.
said, no way. You
Yeah.
got to be kidding me. She's like, no wonder you're having terrible headaches. You're literally, your eyes are stuck in strain, and they won't. They're just overworked, and they're, it was an issue with needing glasses, and sure enough, got the glasses. It was able to allow the eyeball to relax, and I just can't make this up. And I didn't even tell her, like, I did actually. I was like, you're not going to believe this because I can't make this up. I'm a stress specialist. Like, that's what I do.
The irony.
God has a sense of humor, you guys.
Yeah.
So she said, no way. I'm like, oh, yeah. So this will be great. That goes to show you, right? And I pay a lot of attention to mind, body, everything, sleep, what I put in my body, what I don't put in my body. And I'm not just talking about food and drink, you guys. What you watch, what you spend your time, who you spend your time with, all of it factors in. And who you don't spend your time with, too. Go ahead, Nali.
Sorry, I'm kind of like the only one raising my hand all the time.
Okay,
Sorry, you
you're
guys.
good.
I just wanted to add on to what you were saying about like your eyes, because two things. One, when I was visiting my mother-in-law, she was like having such like a bad headache that she needed to lay down, and I was like, I'm kind of an amateur body worker, so I was like, here, let me just give you a massage. And so basically I gave her a massage all over her head, neck, and shoulders. And then afterwards, she was like, oh my God, I think my eyesight's better. She's like, I'm not even kidding. My eyesight is better. Like my eyes are like, she's like, I can see things more clearly. This is weird, And so like me and my partner were like, that's interesting that she's having that response. And then like just yesterday, I was taking a somatic course, and she literally says, practice softening your eyes. And she says, and we're going to practice squeezing the eyes. And then she goes, but only do it like 30%. And then she was like, and then relax your eyes. And then she says, just by learning to like squeeze and then relax the eyes, she goes, the eyes, she's like, the nerve goes directly to the brain and then actually through all the way through the rest of your body. So she goes, literally, if you can relax your eyeballs, you can actually relax like all your whole soma. Right. And I was like, what? Just the eyeballs will relax your whole soma. It's for
crazy.
Sure.
Seriously, you guys, like our whole body runs and does not run, for that matter, based on our stress, how we interpret the world around us, what we do for ourselves, how do we take care of ourselves? So here's my question for everyone. I'm going to ask Denard first. How in this stressful world, right? How do we stay well? What do you do for self-care, for your resilience, to try and tune in, so to speak?
I recently, what Natalie just shared, like the softening of the gaze, I recently learned that. I actually incorporate that in my practice.
Nice.
So, yeah, but I would say my everyday practice, because I just had to ask this question. I would just pose this question to join like blackmanheal.org as a provider, and they were asking me these questions, and I just rattled it off. Like, so for me, it's because it's my everyday experience. So it's from 4 to 7, that where it's the core ritual that I have. It's my sanctuary moment. So it's 8 minutes of doing nothing, right? Because I'm so used to always being on autopilot, right? And stuck sometimes. So I just do 8 minutes of doing nothing. And if I make a narrative of something in my mind, I hear something drop, I that's probably the most creative thing I do. Then I do a 8-minute body scan, focusing more on my limitations. And then the next thing I do is 10 minutes of mindfulness. And I actually started with 2 minutes of each of these. So I got to that 8 minutes and 10
Mm.
minutes after 2 years, actually. So it was hard for me to do it for a year. And then after that, I then read a devotional, and
Nice.
that takes read a devotional, pray, and I pray over my family. So that takes about from that time. I'm now at close to 5 at that point in time, and
Okay.
then I do something creative because I have to get I'm a
Yes.
pre and procrastinator, so
Love
I
it.
need to get motivated to do something. So I probably right now I do a bunch of canvas items where I just do little cricket things every day, like mantras and positive affirmations each day. So that's and then after that, throughout the day, I just take walks with the kids to get rid of my dad bod. And then,
No.
and then then we're older. Unfortunately we only really get to spend like intimate time like after the
Yeah.
kids fall asleep. So
Oh, yeah.
we really what we do is we just play. We joke on each other. She looks at my feet, takes pictures of my feet, and says I need to get pedicures, and it's been helpful because I've recognized that in my self care I haven't actually had restorative joy, and so that's been my
Ooh,
restorative joy moment. So
nice.
that's it.
I love that. Now, did you get the 2 minutes from one of I'll ask you later. 2 minute field drill is something I gave a while back. But anyways,
Oh yeah, I remember you did say that too.
yeah.
No, but
Okay,
that
cool.
reminded me that it was a good starting point.
Right. So, for those of you who are not familiar, one of my favorite things to do is what I call the 2 minute field drill. It's a great starting point. Now, we'll say this: if you've had or had complex trauma, maybe literally start with 5 seconds. 2 minutes can feel either really, really fast or really slow or put you back in there. So I'm not talking about our real complex trauma individuals. However, so for those who do not have complex trauma, I call this like I said, 2 minute field drill. It's where I get in the floor. That's where I can be assured there's not a screen in my face, as bad as that sounds, and I'm judging myself for it. But get in the floor, and then I set either my watch or my phone. But this is the key: set your something for 2 minutes. And here's the thing: I could never really get into meditation and things like that because I was always like, "Am I doing it? Like, am I doing it right? Am I thinking of the thing? Am I Zen?" That was just a circle for me. But so this is not calling on anything or specific event, but it's also not blocking. And this is kind of key. It's not blocking any feelings from coming. So you just kind of sit with yourself and you tune in and you just let whatever come, whatever thought, whatever feeling, right? Come. You're not going to block it, but you're not going to like conjure it up and do some Zen place. You might actually get to Zen, but that's just happenstance. So, and then when the timer goes off, you get up and you go back to your day. And what you're doing is you're training your body that, number one, I'm listening to you, because believe it or not, our body knows when we're tuning in, even if it's just the start. And I have been told by, I think, most everyone that I work with, that their body craves that. And they can better, though, handle triggers because their body has learned, oh, I'm going to get my time later. And let's see, what comes highly recommended? Screaming and pillows is highly recommended, apparently, in the 2 minutes. To each your own. If that's helpful, go for it. That's a safe way to do something. But again, if you have that complex trauma, please start with much less time. And my question or thought, not question, my add on there is, if you think, wow, okay, I'm doing 2 minutes, like I can add more. Please don't. Here's what I would like you to do. Instead, add in 2 minutes again somewhere else in your day. So the reason being, if we elongate it, right, it can throw off kind of what we're used to, and kind of, again, for more traumatic experiences, kind of put a wrench in things. So 2 minutes is kind of that safe zone. And long story short, adding it back in at another time just gives your body another time to have an outlet and tune in healthily. Any questions, thoughts on that? And I want to hear you guys now. What do you do? How do you keep up with resilience? I know that Nolly was talking about some somatic stuff. I love it. And for those, let me caveat. I don't want a workout answer, not because working out is bad. However, I think that's all a lot of the go-tos, and I like to challenge people to think outside of a workout. So go ahead, Angie.
So one thing that I've noticed has been helping me is smells. Incense. I've been burning incense. I've been finding like essential oils, using bracelets that I could put the oils on so that I can like rub it on my neck or put it on my wrist, or things that like go up to my face a lot, or my nose that I can smell. So like my hands go to my face a lot because I'm working, or I'm putting my hands in my head in my hands because I'm like, what the, and so as long as it's someplace that like goes to my nose and I can smell it, or just that like that strong incense kind of seems to break some of my tension that I have.
Awesome. Love that. Thank you for sharing it. Go ahead, Lisa.
Yeah, I paint, and I also like to garden.
Nice. Hey, gardening's a whole thing, you guys. Getting into green space, key. And I don't mean getting in a forest now. I understand that's a big ask. Go track down a forest. I just mean get around your plants, go take some deep breaths. And I'll let Dinar pick it up from here because I know our time's about a minute up. I hope you guys got something from this session, and that you leave knowing that you can do this. Whatever your this is, you can do it. You do have a circles community here of people who aren't to judge you, aren't to condemn you, or any of that, and are in very similar or difficult spots. And we're all stressed. So take care of yourself. Tune in. Start wherever you are and do the next right thing. And when you're in those tough moments, please ask, hey, future self, what's something I can do that you'll thank me for?
Yeah, listen, Trisha, I don't need to add to that. You actually, I normally leave with a final piece of advice. Can I reframe something you said
Please.
in terms of like this aspect? I think it's evident everyone got something out of this, right? I don't think we even have an emoji, which I think I'm going to recommend. I'm processing the depth of the mind blown, teeth clenching,
Nice.
2-minute field drill moment that I'm experiencing, and still yearning for more. And I say all this to say, because I believe in altruistic affirmation. You all, I've said this times, you all. There's two reasons I'm still on this app, and with the mission of circles, it's that you see the humanity of each individual. Yeah. You heard from the very beginning, Trisha saying, I'm literally trying to make sure I fight back sickness. Right. But I'm here.
Right.
I've showed up. And I'm sharing my experience with you all. And while we're closing out, I just want to say this because I don't want to take too much of your time. I want to honor that space. But the question that some might be asking, right? How do I get in touch with her, right? Go to www.stressalist. That's stressalist.com. I will put it in the chat. You can reach out here via circles if it's in terms of the aspects of the groups that she's leading, right? But this is again, I just really wanted you all to hear, because she's done professional developments for us as facilitators, to learn how to say no to burnout, in the sense of like not stay stuck in being stuck, right? And normalize that reality that we all are experiencing. If you have a nervous system, you experience stress, right? Yep. So there's no, my headphone just went out. Sorry. Uh-oh.
No, you're good. We're still hearing you.
Okay. It won't let me back into the room. So I'm just going to close out here. I can
Okay,
only
I
see the
can end it.
screen. But this was, ladies and gentlemen, this was a moment to reflect on your journey. We've embarked on it today. If you haven't started it, just guess what? You're making the right decision by showing up today. Trisha, your insights, your shared, and everybody here in the chat, your shared experiences, your resilience, that hope, right? We've embodied it today. But Trisha, your wisdom, your vulnerability, for real, girl, like I just gotta, man,
Thank you.
that's all I can do right now. I gotta clap you up and just
I
say,
clap you back, sir.
man, amazing. Be well.
Yes.
Don't just do well, you all. And Trisha, I just hope that everyone knows that this is recorded. So if you feel like you missed something, if you feel like you
Yes,
came in at a
please.
different time,
Mhm.
listen, you get to actually spend time and digest what was shared here. So I encourage it. And also know that you still have Trisha here in this Circles family as well. You can access her via, and if someone can put it in the chat for me, because I can't go back in because it's overtime right now and I'm only on the front screen. So if you can put the website in the chat, that's another way where there's a wealth of resources. You will see why I say that she's a living miracle. That's just a snippet of her story, right? But you can also learn how to explore more of this transformative aspect of stress into this relentless aspect of saying, okay, I can be my best ally on this journey towards healing and growth. So I'll stop here, you all. Trisha, don't stop
Hey,
being you.
Denard,
Yes.
Oh,
do you mind just repeating the website so that we can put it into chat?
Yeah. It's www dot stress, the word stress, STRESS, a list. That's LIST as in Tom.com. And Trisha, if there's other ways, because Trisha and I were on LinkedIn too.
yes,
Trisha, if you want to share the
absolutely.
LinkedIn link, feel free to share that in the chat too. I'll keep the chat open for like 3 to 5 minutes. There's
Okay,
a lot in the chat from, and also I want to correct something too. I think it may be two, but I'm more familiar with flop. So I think that was the other stress
okay.
response that you were looking for,
Yes,
Trisha.
yes. Thank you. I appreciate you guys. And please reach out. There's a number of programs I offer. I still do work in our circles group because I love it here and love Denard. Thank you so much, Denard, for having me and being a gracious host and far too kind. Thank you guys for coming. You're showing up for yourself, and that's exactly what I hope you continue to do. So, all right, guys, have a great evening wherever you are. Take care, get some rest, and I'll see you next time.
All right. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you. Goodbye.
You're welcome. Bye-bye.
Awesome. All right, you all. I'm gonna keep it open for like 2 minutes. If there's something in the chat that Natalie also placed some things in the chat. I can't see the screen. We'll work through that next time, but because it's overtime, I can only see the title screen of this space, so I can't actually see the people that are still here in the chat. If everyone else is gone, cool. But I'm gonna keep it open for at least 2 minutes so that you all can grab some things from the chat.